Hi everybody, how are you doing? This is Wendy again with Diamonds and Stuff, bringing you a WIP and chat. Okay, before we get started though on the WIP and the storytelling and etc. I wanted to go ahead and show you a couple completions. Since I've been sharing them with you all along, so this is the for the end of January, the completions. So I need to pull you back a little bit for this one. There we go. It's a little better. Okay, so this is the one that I have been working on fairly diligently. That's made up of 5 different Anne Stokes paintings. This was actually a fun one to work on. I will say, with the exception of this lady in the corner, because in the original artwork her eyes are closed, but on the rest of them I did substitute out some ABs because their faces just got lost with all that was happening around here. And so yeah, I'm gonna move this back just a little. Hold on guys, hope I don't make you seasick. There we go. So yeah, I enjoyed working on it because I loved all the artwork, and I was pleased to see that there's plenty of definition in the focal point, which is this dragon, including his tail, the different coloring in his wings, the coloring behind him. This was a lot of fun, and I think if this one had been offered a little bit larger, you might have been able to salvage the definition in the faces of the humans. The faces of the creatures are fine. Like no creature face got lost, but the human faces definitely did. But this is a 40 by 50, and again, there's only 23 colors. So, at this size, you can only do what you can do, but I really enjoyed working on it, and it was fun the entire time. I'm hoping that this artwork might be offered at some point in a little larger size, although not too much larger, because there is so much confetti. I mean, even the background that looks like it's one color is multiple colors. So yeah, this one took more hours than it looks like it should have, because how much of it is actually confetti. There is very little, almost no color blocking in here. Very, very little. So yeah, it was quite a bit of work, you guys. So yeah, so that was one of my completions for January. Okay, the other one is this one. Some of you will remember that I was working on this one. This is also an Anne Stokes piece of artwork called Water Dragon. It's a lady, and she has, let me bring it down a little bit. The lady that plucked the little dragon out of the water. I enjoyed this one. I did give them each an eye that's actually an AB, just to give it dimension out of the rest of the colors. Not a lot of color blocking. There was a color blocking in the background. All of this is 310. There was a little bit on the ground. But one thing I wanted you to notice is, you remember when I showed you this canvas first when I did the unboxing, and then just as I was starting the bottom, and I told you not to be worried if you get one that looks like somebody just threw one color on it and didn't move. This one was just, it was just an all blue mess. I mean, it looked like it was just a wash in blue. But when I added the drills, it didn't stay that way. All the colors that were supposed to come out came out. So yeah, so don't worry if you see one that looks a little off because it's all one color, or doesn't look exactly the way you think that it should. Okay, because there's actually, I mean, now you can make the definition really easy. There's color in the walls. You can see that these are supposed to be columns, the doorway, and the arc to it. The dragon's got some dimension in his body. Lady's got lots of it in hers. I wish that these loud pink colors of drills had been light peaches or even tans. This pink skin tone thing, I don't understand. It's kind of, I think it's not conducive to what you're trying to accomplish. But anyway, it was fun to work on. I enjoyed it. So, and that was the goal. So yeah, so those are the completions for January. And because there's a completion, I actually went ahead, you'll see during today's WIP that I'm working on one of the February tiny snack size canvases that I was showed earlier in another video, because I have put away Soulmates for a while. I really, guys, I have to get away from Soulmates for a while. I'm really just so dissatisfied with having to work on squares. It's just not my thing, guys, okay? I think if it's your thing and you love it, I love it for you, and I'm so glad that you like it. I don't like squares. There are so many things about squares that I don't like. Excuse me, you guys. I'm on my second round of antibiotics for this upper respiratory thing. Yeah, there's just so much about it that I just don't like. And I found myself being resentful of the canvas and frustrated and wanting to get away from it. I mean, when I had opportunities to diamond paint, I wasn't, because I didn't want to have to work on it. So I'm going to be doing events now for quite a while. So I've put it away, drills and all. It's all nice and cozy until I pull it out again. And I will. Like, it's not going to not go. I still love the artwork. I still think Raven Phelan did a beautiful job, you know, with getting the artwork done. I think Diamond Art Club did a nice job with the render. But those square drills are just bugging me, and it's taking forever because I have to place them appropriately. I've also had, you know, probably not a lot, probably less than a dozen drills popping, but that seemed like a lot under the circumstances. So, yeah, I'm going to take a breather from Soulmates and focus on the next things that we're going to be doing. So, starting on February 1st, I am going to be doing the canvas Dragon Hearts for the DP Along with Friends event. The DP Along with Friends event that Crafty Chef Diamond and Enza's Diamond Painting is going to be hosting. So I'm excited to start that. I really, really am. I've been wanting to get started on the canvas, and so I'm very excited that the time is nearly here to get started on it. So that's great. So yeah. So, you know, the theme is Love is in the Air, and you're allowed to do any canvas that speaks love to you. And you guys have known me long enough to know that, of course, this would be the one. This is one of the ones that, one of the two that I actually got from the one with the diamond art. Guys, I love that company. I'm just going to tell you right now, I just love the company. Just love it. So, again, this is a Jasmine Beckett Griffith. Yeah, I need to pull you out a little bit because it's kind of close. Yep. And there she is. She has that big heart decoration on her forehead. And there she is with the two dragons holding little scaled dragon hearts. So yep, this said love to me for the Love is in the Air event. So I'm so excited because I've been wanting to do this so badly. And nice to know that it's 42 colors, and I've already kitted it up in my fake Elizabeth Ward container. It fit perfectly because there are 42 containers. So yeah, it worked out just like it was meant to be, y'all. So, and I'm really happy that this is a 40 by 55 centimeters so that it's not, you know, it's not so unwieldy. That, I'm telling you, that Soulmates canvas, and it's only 59 by 79, I think. But, you know, when you have to diamond paint in a small space, and yes, I'm using the pool noodles and I'm rolling it up and I'm doing all of that, it's just hard to work on it in a small space. That's just the reality of it. So yeah, so starting February 1st, which I think is Thursday, unless memory doesn't serve me, but I think so. This will be what I will be working on. So yeah, in the next WIP and Chat, you're gonna see this. So yeah, I'm really excited to do this one. I just love it. It's everything I love. I love the fact that she's very pretty. She has gray hair. Yeah, you go, girl. There's little dragons in it. Dragon hearts are in it. Like, really. This is Wendy's canvas. It's got Wendy written all over it. So thank you, Jasmine Beckett Griffith, for doing this one because I love it. And thank you, the one with the diamond art, for being able to have this canvas available in a way, whatever way I wanted it, so that I was able to get the size I want, the drill shape that I wanted. I am so happy that that was the case. And for having ABs in the kit. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this kit actually has 5 ABs. So yeah, it's gonna be no end of fun. I cannot wait. I am so excited. Okay, so that is my canvas for the DP Along with Friends event for January. So that being said, I'm just trying to, between now and Thursday on the 1st, I am just trying to get the snack size and the partials. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get that adjusted. And the partials that I already showed you in a prior video completed as much as I can. So I'll be ready to hit the floor running with the big canvas. So also, do you guys ever use one of your drill storage to put more than one canvas selection in? I don't know if you tried this, but I think I can't recommend it enough. So all I did was I took one of my, this one happens to be 30, yeah, happens to be a set of 30 containers. And all I did was I just took an old receipt I had. I think it was from Diamond Pen Pal, but any old receipt will do. Put it in the middle and then labeled the sides. So this one is the Hearts and Flowers canvas, and I put the canvas number. This one's the Musical Note canvas, put the canvas number. So I'm working on the hearts. Here's the Musical Note canvas. So I've been able to kit up both of them in the one set of containers. So, not that there's anything wrong with just using a small set of containers. This one is what I kitted up. Isn't that pretty to look at? This is one of the Mardi Gras masks that I've kitted up into these containers. One of the partials. So, you know, you can totally do that. But, sorry everybody. But this is another good alternative because again, there are 30 containers in here. This kit has 13 and this one had 14. So that's a total of 28. Okay. There are 30 containers. You can actually, as long as there's, you know, not more than 15 colors, this one worked beautifully because this side is the Musical Note. That's this canvas. So out of 15 containers on this side, because that's half of 30, so 14 out of 15 were used. And then this other side is the Hearts and Flowers canvas, and 13 out of 15, so there's a couple of empty ones, which is nice because if you have a lot of one color and you need to use more than one container, you can. But yep, and it's all in one container that way. And yeah, you can just, you know, throw them in a tote bag or whatever and to put the drills in there and head off to your favorite diamond painting spot. So, you know, think about it. if you haven't tried it before, something to consider. Okay, so I was using this little one. This cover reminder is just a little fairy. I had a group of these that I got at Temu, and I bought a whole bunch of magnets and, you know, made my own. So, yep, because I find it's nice to have the small ones when you're doing a small canvas. It just makes life so much easier. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, guys. So, I have completed, this one I happen to section off into thirds. Sometimes I section it off into quarters. Sometimes I'll do thirds and then one down the center, so there's 6 pieces. Kind of depends on how busy the canvas is and what's going on. But, you know, with the little snack sizes, you can kind of, you know, break it up any way you want, or not at all. You can just take the whole thing off and just go to town. And then if you need to cover it back up, you just cover it back up. It's fine. So it's up to you, but this one I happen to do in thirds. So I'm on the last third, so it's exciting. I'm almost finished, guys. So yeah, so we can get started now with the WIP and Chat. How is everybody doing? We had a little excitement here at my house. I asked my husband to take my son to the emergency room because he was very plugged up. In fact, if you hear in the background somebody sneezing, hacking, doing whatever, it's him. Please excuse him. He said that his throat hurt, and I could see that he was congested, and I was going, oh boy, here we go. This is definitely going to be a strep throat visit. I just knew it. And I was afraid that come Monday, his doctor wouldn't be able to get him in, because Monday is the scary busy day at that office, and it's hard to even get them on the phone, much less to get in for an appointment. So all of that being said, I was like, you know, let's avoid the Christmas rush. Can you please take him in? Because I didn't want to go down to the emergency room while I'm on my second course of antibiotics for whatever this upper respiratory thing is. Like, I didn't want to see if I could contract COVID to just, you know, add icing on the cake on top of everything else. So he said, yeah, I'll take him. So he took him down. Fortunately for everyone involved, the COVID test and the strep throat test came back negative. Okay, here's the kicker. I don't know how many of you know this, but strep throat tests are only 60% accurate. So you never know for sure. Even if it says no, you still could. They're calling it tonsillitis. So, and pharyngitis. So take that for what you will. They gave him an antibiotic good for either thing, strep throat or tonsillitis or URI or whatever it is. It should fix it. Okay. So he is now taking that. So let's hope that things are going to be okay. But, you know, and yes, okay, yes, he is, oops, might as well use them all. He is 26. He'll be 27 in March. But you know what? Your child's your child forever. So anytime you're a parent, it doesn't matter if they're 2 or 200, they're still your baby. So, and when they have special needs, you know, it's actually, there's more to consider. Those of you who have kids with special needs, and I know some of you are in the diamond painting community, will understand when I say you have to think about other things. For instance, some kids don't do well if they get a fever. Sometimes more dire things happen if they've already got special needs. Some kids can't verbalize how they're feeling very well, and so you have to kind of, you know, it's a charades kind of guessing game thing when you're trying to figure out how dire is this. You know, things that you do not go through with a typically developing kid. So those of you that have typically developing kids, thank your lucky stars, and have compassion for those of us that have to go through extra. Be thankful that your kids can grow up and have some kind of normal life where they will not have to be taken care of by someone else, probably forever to some degree. Because that's what keeps you up at night. Let me just tell you. It's one thing when I'm here to take care of him. It's something else knowing that someday I won't be. And so then you have questions you have to think about, like, who is going to take care of him? What do I have to do? What do I have to make the decision about? Do I burden one of his siblings? Because I do not want my son to ever be in a facility. Those of you who think facilities are wonderful and they take them on trips every day are being lied to. Terrible things happen in those facilities. And the theft and the physical abuse alone would be enough to make me say, yeah, I don't ever want him in there. But then that means, okay, now I have to find somebody who is either willing to move in after our demise and be a roommate and take care of him, which is going to require oversight. Or it's going to mean one of his brothers is going to have to take more of an active role, which impacts their life. And it's not their responsibility. So, if they say, listen, it's not for me. Okay. Again, it's not up to them. So then you have to figure out, okay, well, who is going to be the oversight? Who's going to be the guardian? What's going to happen? Because special needs adults are the second most preyed upon population. First one is 8 to 12-year-olds. They're preyed upon the most, followed by developmentally disabled adults. So, yeah, and it's very frustrating because I have spent his whole life protecting him from the world that wants to consume and spit him out. And so to think that I have to then trust somebody else when I'm not here to oversee it. If anything happens and he can't take care of it, he's a victim. So, yeah, lots of different things you have to think about. The day-to-day stuff is hard enough, but, imagine having to plan for someone who will be 12 or 13 all their life mentally. So, yeah. I love my children. It doesn't bother me to do whatever they need, whatever that is. It comes with the territory, and it's like, that's okay. But the thought, I'm not getting any younger, and the thought of really not being here to police what's happening with these agencies that are supposed to be doing the right thing by them and often are not being there to oversee discussions and authorizations for what kind of services they may or may not be allowed under perpetual budget cuts. Some of you probably have noticed that when it comes to funding cuts, it's the elderly, the disabled, and the children always get cut first. So, yeah, you're always under the, we have to service, 200,000 people, not just your son. Okay, well, I fully appreciate that. And, God love you for being in the field. But of those 200,000 you talked about, I'm only interested in one. So what you have to do for the other 199,999 is between you and their caregivers and their families and their conservators. What I'm saying is this one is my concern. So, it's, it can be a lot. IEPs are hard enough when they're going through school, but once they get out of post-secondary, which happens usually by the time they're 22, then it's up to either the Department of Disabled Services or human services agency at some level. It depends on your state. Different states have different things. Now, we're really lucky out here in California because we have a regional center system whose sole purpose it is to provide services to developmentally disabled people and make sure that their quality of life is maximized pursuant to the Lanternman Act. But most states don't have that. You're usually having to go to a governmental agency that's poorly staffed and overburdened. You have to get on a waiting list because there are more people in need of services than people to perform the services. Meanwhile, the person that you love and care about is getting older and aging out and, whatever else. So, yeah, I've felt very fortunate that we have had the system that we've had. Now, there's a reason why California is one of the most expensive places to live. I mean, it just, we're taxed to death. And yeah, there's also a reason, though, that California is the 5th largest economy. And I don't mean the USA, I mean California by itself. We have ways of doing stuff to get what we need to get done without excluding hundreds of thousands of people. But it's taken some time. And like I said, you're going to pay your share one way or another. But, oh, have I been thankful to be here. I'm a native Californian. I'm actually from the Bay Area, but and now I'm in Southern California. But I will say, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else for the care and services that my kids have been able to participate in. It allowed my older two to learn what they needed to learn, get the services they needed to have, and are now functional grown adults. Doesn't mean that they don't have problems, but they're working full time, they're supporting their families, they're parenting their own children, they're in relationships that they both cherish. So yeah, that took a village, people. Village people. Some of you are old enough to know who those are. So anyway, feel free to chuckle. So yeah, if we hadn't had that, I honestly don't know what would have happened. Because I was bound and determined that they were going to have a life one way or another, that I was not going to sponsor them till they were 40 or 50 years old. It just wasn't going to happen. A lot of my generation, for reasons I will never understand, have been sponsoring their grown-ass kids for years and years and years. No, that wasn't going to happen. Now, I told all of them, my youngest included, here's the thing. If you're going to go to college, then you can live here rent-free until you are finished with college, but you are also going to work part-time and you're going to participate in the chores of the household in whatever capacity is deemed appropriate by the management, which would be me and my spouse, or you are welcome to move out at any time. And, make your way in the world. That's perfectly fine. But what you will not do is move in and out. This is not a revolving door. And you're going to have to get a job, because you're going to pay rent someplace. If you would like to pay it here and you're willing to still participate in what has to be done around the house to support all of the household members, then you're welcome to stay. If you would rather rent a room somewhere or get an apartment with some roommates, more power to you. That's entirely up to you. But that's what's coming, when you turn 18. And I think I started talking with them about this probably in the 7th grade, as soon as they were out of grade school, that, hey, have a plan, because I'm expecting you to have a life. I'm not going to provide you a life, and I'm not going to pay for it, and I'm not going to sponsor it. So Yep, you're going to have some kind of an idea of what you want to do and how you're going to support yourself and whoever else might come along, because, yeah, that's how the world works. So, and so because we started talking about that fairly early, we more or less had a game plan going. Now, I knew that because they were all on IEPs and all for very different reasons, that it was going to be, a little touch and go. They were going to have to try on adulthood for a while, because I know that, a lot of times kids that have, that are neurodiverse and have neurological stuff, whether it's ADHD, whether it's, Asperger's, whether it's conduct disorder, whatever it is, they're often kind of stunted maturity-wise. Takes them a long time to get where their peers are. And so I knew that, there might be some stops and starts. And that's fine. I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't planning to throw them out. That wasn't the goal. Although they knew the rules. The rules did not change from the time they were probably 12 until they moved out, which is there will be no drug use in this house, and that includes paraphernalia. That is not going to happen. If you have friends that participate, they will not be doing it here, and that's not negotiable. There will be no piercing of the skin. That means there will be no tattoos. There will be no IV drug use. There will be none of that type of behavior until you're of age. So, that sort of, was a straight across the board kind of a thing. So those two were the main rules. The other things were things that should be obvious by the time you're a teenager, which is you are expected to do your chores. Now, they had an allowance when they were younger. They had chores that they had to do because they were members of the household, and that's a requirement whenever you live with other people. And then they had chores that they were paid for, which is important, because not only did it teach them a lot about budgeting, which was nice, but it's also a really good, way to address something. Like if I have to tell you 3 times to put something away, okay, the 4th time I'm going to do it and I'm going to charge you, which means your allowance is going to be short because I had to take up your slack. So yeah, they don't push that very often. Once or twice is usually enough where they go, man, because I also did not overpay them. Like this is not, you're not going to get wealthy on your allowance. You're going to have to work for that. But it was enough so they could, do something with their friends or go to the movies or, go together and buy the latest video game or, whatever it is. So they were aware that that was the consequence. So, and for a while I had made, because again, I had some ADHD and some other stuff in my kids going on. So I had made stoplights. So, and I made, they were just like, like little, like felt with Velcro, like just like a black rectangular strip. And then I made circles that were green, yellow, and red. And so the first time I would ask them to do something, pick up your towel, put your clothes away, whatever it was, I'd put the green light up. Okay, the second time I had to tell them, then the yellow light went up. If I got to red, okay, that was it. I wasn't asking you anymore. If it wasn't done within 10 minutes, then I was going to do it and you would be charged. And I kept a little chart. I gave them a list of how much their chores were worth so they would know. This is how much is deducted if you don't do it. And that was mostly based on how much I didn't want to do it. I mean, let's face it, some of the chores are worse than others. So if I really didn't want to have to do something that they were assigned to do, then that one was worth a lot of money because I didn't want to do it. So yeah, that was the thing. So, they understood, and they understood the impact of not getting all of your allowance when it comes to wanting to purchase something, in a store or at the movies or whatever you want to do. It also taught them how to work with each other over money. And I told them, if your brother wants to, because I had the 3 boys, so if your brother wants to borrow from you, then it's up to you. You do not have to say yes or no. It's up to you. You get to decide the terms, what payback looks like. If they don't do it, though, that's going to be between the 2 of you. So, be prepared that, things happen and you might not see it anymore. So know that before you make a decision whether or not to allow the loan. So, so that worked out. They did fine for a long time with that. Taught them a lot about themselves, about each other, about the world, about why credit is important, about who to trust and who not to trust, about interest. That became a thing. So yeah, there was a lot that went into that. So, okay. So all of that to tell you that when the time came where we started talking about, okay, when you grow up and you are no longer living here, then these things that you've learned while you've been here are on a much grander scale. So yes, your paycheck will be more than your allowance, but so will your expenses. So we talked about that. And fortunately, I was really pleased that my kids had a health curriculum, that part of their health curriculum was, as a junior, they had to go through classes they had to go through child development, which was very important. Where they gave them the egg to take home, they had to babysit the egg, all of that. Okay. That was very important. But they also, another part of that was they assigned them a career and a salary. And it was arbitrary, like they picked out of a hat or something. And then they assigned them expenses. Okay, right off the top, you have to pay this much. Here are the 3 possibilities of where you can live. Okay, here's how much it will cost you monthly to live in these places. So, yeah, you let us know which one. Okay. And then they would just arbitrarily throw stuff like, okay, somebody's pregnant and now you've got to make, room in your budget for a child. Here's how much children are supposed to, cost around this much the first year. Here it is the second year. So, they really had some wake-up calls, which was nice. Every so often, they would have a life incident jar. And if anybody was being obnoxious in class, they'd go, okay, come on up here. Because these were juniors. It's not like they were, didn't know what was coming. They'd get called up and they'd have to pull something out of the jar that impacted their budget. Like, oh, accidentally ran over a tack strip, need 4 tires for the car. Or baby had to have surgery. Or, oops, playing football with your friends, got smacked in the mouth, X amount of dental surgery needed. So they just sort of, and yes, they enjoyed it and they all laughed and, oh gosh, isn't it funny? But they also learned a lot. Like, you can't anticipate everything. And what happens if something comes up and you don't have the budget for it? What's the plan? And you were not allowed to ask family members for any help. So then they were really, because most of the time that's what they had been doing most of their lives, right? So now they didn't have the option. So yeah. And that same curriculum, because that was their junior year, their senior year, they had to talk about relationship dynamics in a partner, in a spouse, between you and your kids, between you and aging parents. Things that really should be part of everybody's curriculum. I mean, seriously, real life stuff. I don't care if you ever take geometry, but I really think you should take Relationship Dynamics 101, because let's face it, that's where most of us get screwed over the worst, and that we tend to screw up the most. So really, that is a vital piece of information. So anyway, but they had taken all of this, okay, and it was kind of interesting because when they took the junior year course, because part of that course also, when they were talking about your budget, they gave them each an ad for, I think, 2 or 3 of the local grocery stores. They said, okay, here's, break down how much you have per week. So after you've paid everything, divide by 4, whatever's left, that's how much you have for groceries. Make a grocery list, and here it is. Boy, was that an eye-opener. Yeah, it's nice to find out that, groceries don't grow on trees. The toilet paper doesn't mysteriously appear on the roll. It doesn't just rain shampoo and soap, and you can't eat those things, but you still need them. So, yeah, they learned a lot, and I thought it was a very important course. So, we had discussed it because that was something that they were taking as juniors and seniors. So we would have big conversations because they'd go, wow, all that stuff you were trying to teach us, like, it's really true. I'm like, well, yeah, do you think I was going around lying to you? Like, come on, of course it's true. So, but they, the 2 older ones especially, really thanked me because they were like, we were more prepared than a lot of our classmates because of what you did, even though you took heat for it, which I did. I had a lot of people that wanted to help me with my parenting skills, talking about, you're too hard on that. Like, you're going to take their money if you have to do their chores. Oh my God, but you're their mom. Yeah, exactly. I am their mom. And it's up to me to make sure that they learn that there are consequences for their actions, and that your decisions have consequences, and what you choose to do and choose not to do. So that if I get hit by a car tomorrow, or something happens and I can't be there for them, they don't dissolve into a puddle of goo. I mean, that's just, I know several people right now whose 40 to 45-year-old quote unquote children are living in their house, their basement, their trailer, on their property, whatever it is, they're living there. And I said, okay, but what happens if you're out of the picture all of a sudden? None of them had an answer. Yeah, because the answer is they're going to try to leech off of someone else because that's all they know how to do. They don't know how to take care of themselves. And that's a parental failure. That's not on them, that's on you, because you've allowed this to be the case. And I was bound and determined. I didn't care if my kids made the decision to go to college or not. College is not for everybody, and it's very hard for people with special needs to go to college for multiple reasons. So I wasn't worried about that. I was worried, though, that they would be able to support themselves or work for a living, not expect that the world owed them, not think they were entitled to something because they were special to me. That didn't mean you weren't special to the whole world. That means you're special to me. So, you are going to have to work for what you want. You're going to have to understand that you are not owed a living, and that going around whining about it is not going to get you anywhere. So I saw a lot of people in their generation that are still whining. My oldest is a millennial. My middle son is kind of a Gen Zer. He's kind of in between. And interestingly enough, my youngest, that's home with me, that has the staff people, he works every day. He has multiple job sites that he goes to and volunteers, and then we give him a salary off of his social security that he has a certain amount of money that he gets. So if what we have from it doesn't pay his rent or his portion of his cell phone or his co-pays for medication or any of that, then we take the hit. We just pay it, because I want him to understand, first of all, the value of a dollar, which was a long time coming. We worked hard on that. So, and how to budget, which he has learned. So, he understands that he gets money because he works. So every day he goes to work. He has 2 days a week in the morning where he goes to the Humane Society, and they gave him a patch to put on his volunteer shirt that says Dog Ambassador, which is kind of awesome. He doesn't do the cats because he's allergic to cats, but he goes around, he makes sure that the dogs are okay, that nobody's having issues that they don't know about in the office, because they're not floating around. And it's been important. A couple of times he really did save a couple of dogs. So yeah, so he's at 2 mornings, and then 2 afternoons a week he goes to his teacher's classroom that he went to post-secondary with, which is the teacher he had from 18 to 22, and he's a teacher's aide. He gets the mail ready, he shreds anything that needs to be shredded, he can put away inventory, he can, do anything that the teacher, requires him to do. And the teacher is thrilled, because he's like, oh my gosh, it saves me so much time. I get to go home at the end of the day. I don't have to stay for 3 or 4 more hours to do all the prep work, because Jared does it for me. So that works out. And then 2 other mornings a week, he goes to the next town over and works for a special needs preschool teacher doing her prep. So, cutting out shapes, laminating things, making, pieces to make ornaments, helping to take care of their little garden that they have going on, all of those kinds of things. And she is just so happy to have his help, because again, she has a family, she has a couple of kids that are young, and if she doesn't have help and she has to do it, that means it takes away her time with her family in the evening. So it works well for everybody. And then, so yeah, he does that a couple days a week, and then, and then kind of, anything else that's on the horizon. If he has to go to, a therapy appointment, or has to go to the doctor, or he has to go to the dentist, or any of those appointments are left for that other day of the week. And then Friday afternoons are free time. So if they want to go to a movie, they can go to a movie. If they want to go to the fair, or they want to go to a carnival, or they want, whatever they want to do, they want to go eat at the restaurant, because one of his favorite things to do in the world is to eat out. So it's like, okay, as long as you stay within your budget, go ahead. So for doing all of that, then, he gets his salary. Plus, if there's any money that he gets, outside of that, then it's his to put in his account, and he can use it for whatever he wants. So if it's birthday money, that's fine. If it's, Christmas money, when the stimulus was coming, that money was given to him to do as he felt he needed to do. So, yeah. So, yep, all of them are doing what they need to do now. That's not to say I don't miss them. I miss them every day. But they have a life in the world. And the reality is they wouldn't like it. But if something happened and I was gone from them tomorrow, then they would all be okay. All of them. So, I'm happy about that, because that means I gave them enough of what they needed where they can have a life. And if they don't know what to do, they know enough to know how to figure out what to do. Okay, that was my job as a mother. So I'm happy to know that that got in. Through all the hard stuff, all the medication changes, all the neurodiversity, all, the special education, all of the sports and all of that, the life stuff got in. So I am okay with that. So when I see these perfectly healthy 45-year-olds, mooching off of their family members, usually their parents, instead of having a life, working, getting a job, going, and blaming everyone under the sun but themselves. I you know what, guys? I can't with these people. I can't. Really can't. So yeah, a lot of that happening, but I was bound and determined that my kids would not be one of those people. It just wasn't going to happen, because it would kill me if I thought that my kids could not function unless I was here to run interference for them for their lives. Like, no. It's not like I'm trying to grow old gracefully. I'm fighting it every step of the way. However, that also means that I need to be able to do that without trying to micromanage their lives. Now, that's not to say that, if they need help or they have a question or, Mom, what should I do? I'm still there, because as a parent, I think that your job changes. But, as they grow up and have children of their own, they need a mentor. They need someone to say, you're doing a good job. You're a good father. You can tell that you're a good parent because your child went to bed with his head and all of his limbs attached. Congratulations, that's a banner day. Because as we all know, parenting is rough. And there is no manual and there is no book on how to do it. So, and it's a tall order, and it's hard. You often feel like, I just feel like I'm not doing something right. I'm exhausted all the time. I didn't have the energy to, play football with them after school today, or whatever it is. And you just feel like a terrible parent. And sometimes you just need your parent to say, you know what? You're doing a good job and I'm proud of you. So if you have kids, I don't care how old they are. I don't care if they're 2 or if they're 102. Tell them that, please. You're doing a good job and I'm proud of you. I don't care if it's because they made it 3 days in a row at preschool and didn't pop anyone in the face. I don't care. I don't care if it's, they passed a really hard test. I don't care. Say it. They need to hear it. So yeah. So anyway, that was my my latest rant on how I feel about people that allow their children to mooch from them. Perfectly able-bodied people sitting around 12 hours a day playing video games or playing social media or whatever the time waster du jour happens to be. It breaks my heart, because these are the people who are just going to dissolve. They're going to dissolve the minute their parents can't or won't provide a life for them. And it's just, and it's not their fault. It's how things were established by the people who raised them and taught them that this was okay. So, yeah, I hope that, I hope they have help when they need it, because, yeah, it's going to be rough. So yeah, all of that. But anyway, so my hubby and my son got home today from the ER. And I felt really bad because I was in the live stream for Mushmallow 79 on Dark and Creepy Diamond Painting. She had a live going today, and I felt very bad because I needed to bug out of there early so that when he got home I could get him set up with the medication and the fluids and the humidifier and all those things that our kids need when they don't feel good. So so that happened. But sorry, Mushy, but I really enjoyed it and I was having a very nice time. So yeah, it was all good. I'm sorry you're hearing that timer keep going off. It's a whole thing. You're probably also going to hear things in the background that sounds like somebody's trying to come through the wall and attack us and banging and knobbing. Basically, what's happening is 3 out of 4 of my dragons, my bearded dragons, are awake and out of brumation, and because they normally do that in the spring, this year they're a little early because they went down so early because the weather was so stupid. So now they think it's mating season. Everybody's doing parkour gymnastics in their tanks. So they're knocking stuff down, they're jumping around, they're bobbing at each other, they're blackening up their beards. They're just acting a fool. And unfortunately, it's loud. So if you hear that, that's what's going on. 2 of them can see each other because they're sort of kitty corner from one another, but they're in the same basic common area. And so, oh yeah, they're they all think they're tough because males, right? Fortunately, the dragon that's still sleeping is the female. I'm really glad because they just act twice as stupid when she's awake, trying to get her attention. To her credit, she just kind of does the best roll of her eyes that a dragon can do. The one that she likes is actually the one that's not in the room. She likes Finn. I guess she likes older men. Anyway, he's in our room. So in our bedroom is where his enclosure is. So, she doesn't give these 2 out here the time of day because she's like, seriously? Really? Does this ever work for you guys? Because, no. So, yeah, I'm telling you guys, I'm just getting too old for bearded dragon mating season because, it's the worst. It's just the worst. Everybody's hormonal. Everybody's acting a fool. Everybody's being a jerk. I mean, it's just, nobody's aggressive. Don't get me wrong. I'm very thankful that I don't have like an iguana or a monitor lizard or, the ones that really get aggressive when they go into estrus. It's not, none of that is going on. It's just, God, they're just too much. They're just full of it. Sometimes because we don't do mating around here because this is not a nursery. This is a rescue. So we don't have indiscriminate breeding. So sometimes especially when you have males, you have to remove sperm plugs and stuff like that. And if you want to see what's involved with that, there are plenty of videos about it on YouTube. But suffice it to say, it is not my favorite thing to do when it comes to caring for reptiles. But, it's what happens. I mean, if you have males that are male reptiles, you're likely going to have to do that. And then the other part is, which is another reason why I'm glad that Ruby's still sleeping. She will be ovulating, I'm sure, as soon as she gets up. And that's always a tense time because things can go afoul with the egg laying. And if they do, it can be dire for the dragon, especially if one of the eggs breaks inside her before she lays it. That's a big scare because that can be lethal. So, those of you out there that have dragons, you feel my pain. I'm talking to you, Master of Jedi. You know who I mean. So, yeah, it's a very tense time. And the laying season is usually September to April. And so, like last year, Ruby laid a clutch in September. 3 weeks later, she had another one in October. She had a third one at the end of April. So it was a lot. But see, this year, she went into brumation, I think around the 8th of September. So everybody went down in the fall instead of when winter was officially here. And so everything is off kilter this year. So I'm just going to keep her egg laying bin in her enclosure until further notice, because I had put it in there in case she was going to do it before she went into brumation, and she did. And then she ended up sleeping in the dirt that was in there. She liked it, so she was sleeping in the dirt. So I'll have to clean it up and wet it down and give her a fresh lay box when she gets up. And then cross my fingers that nothing terrible happens, because the reality is that reproductive problems are the #1 killer of female reptiles, which I find incredibly frustrating, because all we need to do is give them ovulation suppression. Basically, give them birth control, which we do with lots of other animals. The problem is reptiles are always at the bottom of the barrel for funding. So we know what kind of medicine, but we don't know what the dose is. We don't know what's a safe level and what isn't, because there hasn't been enough research. Because again, bottom of the barrel means they don't get the research that they needed. So yeah, so you're kind of stuck with it now. You can spay them, but it's a last resort. It's dangerous, and they don't do well with anesthesia. And, there are other body endocrine systems that rely on, the hormone level at, cyclically, whenever they are or not. But, there's so much that goes into it, and I won't give you all the gory details. But, suffice it to say, it's a lot, and it's scary. Last year, those of you that don't know, I do have a channel dedicated to all things bearded dragon, called Finian's Lair, and there's a bunch of videos on there. Last year we did have an egg follicle that broke inside Ruby, and I had to run her to the vet in an emergency situation. She had to be x-rayed, make sure there was no debris, because if there is, they can get peritonitis, which will kill them. It's the same thing as if your appendix burst and you didn't have a chance to get it out, and it burst, and they couldn't arrest all the bacteria and everything, and it got into your system. Same thing would happen to you. You would get peritonitis, and then it would be a race against the clock to try to save you. Okay, same thing. So I held my breath, rushed her in there, and they said, nope, she managed to expel all of it, so there's none left. Everything's good, free and clear. But there are more follicles in there, so expect more eggs. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. Because at that point, she'd already had 2 clutches, and she was going to have more. So it's a lot. But, nature, people. So, but the vet did say that if the same thing happened to her this year during mating season, that she would recommend surgically spaying her. And that's fine, because I don't want to lose her to something stupid like, an egg burst and we didn't know, and now here she is. I've known people where that has been the case, and they've had wonderful, sweet animals that they have lost because of reproductive problems that couldn't get resolved in time, and ultimately the female passed. So yeah. So yeah, it's always a tense time when mating season rolls around, because everything has to run its course, everything has to do what it needs to do, and not go the way of the crazies, so that you don't have to worry about it. And it's just a lot to cross your fingers and pray about, so yep, and that time is upon us once again. So the rest of the year, they're so much easier. Just this happens to be the time. So everybody say extra prayers for this reptile hormonal household until they get past it, so that we don't have to deal with all of that anymore. So yeah. You have to love them, that's for sure. So, yep, that's what's going on with them. So, yeah. What's going on with everyone else's animals? I think it's fascinating. Have you guys noticed that diamond painters tend to have animals? I think all of the ones that I follow, I don't think I follow any that don't have some kind of an animal. Some of us have multiple animals. And so I find it interesting, you know, that we crafty people are also pet people. So yeah, don't know what causes that, but I do think it's interesting. And it's adorable that we all have little furry or scaly or, you know, whatever type of covering animals, and that we all love them and we're all devoted to them. So maybe, I don't know, what does that say about all of us? That we're really fantastic people? Of course we are, but more than that, you know, it's just nice that, you know, it's another thing we all sort of have in common. So yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, what kind of pets do you have? Dogs, cats, fish, birds, reptiles, ferrets? What kind of other God's little creatures shares your home with you? And how did you get into it? Because I always find that interesting too. There's usually a story in, you know, what kind of pets people have and why they have the ones they have. I'm going to be placing ABs here, and I don't know how many of you have this handy dandy little tool, but if you don't, it's a cool thing. This is a fully waxed tip, and this is a screw on, and then it comes with 2 replacements that you can screw on when this one is flattened and dead. And it comes with a little pointy end that you can put wax or putty in if you want to. Mostly these are located anywhere you see supplies for diamond painting. If not, you can find them in the nail art section also. But yeah, that's all it is. Because I'm going to be using ABs and I don't want them to be stuck in my pen. That's where this little charming thing comes in. And so yeah, you just go for one and you pick it up and yeah, place it. And if you need to push it down with the other end, you can. So yep, it doesn't pull, you know, anything out of your pen because the whole thing is wax, so you don't have to worry about it. So if you haven't, and they're cheap, you guys, like really cheap. I will say that during my diamond painting event that I'm hosting in September, one of the prizes that are going to be drawing prizes is one of these with a replacement tip, a white one. So, you know, it's another reason why you should join it, because it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. Anyway, so yeah, so if you have an exotic pet, tell me why. What got you into that? Is it something you were always interested in? Is it something that happened in your life? Is it, you know, something where you weren't planning to be in exotic animals and then one ran up to you on the street? Like, where did it come from? I always find that interesting. Yeah. But I find it fascinating that, you know, we're all diamond painters and crafty people, and we're all animal people. And, you know, basically, I think that we are, for the most part, good, kind-hearted people. Now, we all know that there's exceptions to the rule, because aren't there always? Unfortunately, some people would rather spend their life being a fly in everyone's ointment. But overall, yeah, good people. Caring about other people and other creatures. So I like to associate with those kind of people. So yeah, tell me what your story is with your animal. Yeah, it's always so interesting. I was a cat person way before I was a dog person. You probably, some of you will remember if you saw the video where I showed you our birth mother letter that I had. At the time, I had 2 cats, and they were in the photo with us. And so yeah, it would. I just figured, they should probably know that, we had cats. But yeah, I loved cats. I understood cats. I like their attitude. I think it's cool. But life changes, and 2/3 of my kids are allergic. So that was the end of having cats in the house. And, I still miss having cats in the house. So yeah, that's been hard. But I love my dogs, such as they are. They are, they're rambunctious and give each other no end of grief, but they make us laugh and we enjoy them. Yeah. We're in the process right now of seeing if Gina, which is my son's emotional support animal, if she might be a good one to enroll in the Canine Good Citizen certification class, which I think would be good for her since she is an ESA. But she's her gotcha day is coming up in February, and so she's going to be 3 years old. And that girl's got a mind of her own. But she's a Chiweenie. She has Dachshund and Chihuahua and a little smattering of Pekingese in her. So yeah, she sees no reason why she should have to work at anything. So yeah, I don't know. She might be the first Canine Good Citizen certification course dropout, but it is what it is. We will love her anyway. She's a big goof, and yeah, she's been fun. I had to remember that she's Dachshund because she's a chewer. And, those of you that have large dogs, you understand that because large dogs tend to be chewers. Especially, God help you people if you have a lab. If you have a Labrador Retriever, you are an amazing human being because, talk about chewers. Those dogs will literally eat anything. Okay, but Chihuahuas are not chewers. Probably partially because their teeth are their weak area. Their teeth in their knees are always the problem when you have tiny Chihuahua dogs. So they don't tend to be chewers. They'll chew on their chew stick if you give it to them, or they'll chew on their toys. Occasionally they might chew when they're teething as a puppy. They might chew your slippers or your belt or something, but it's not something that's big for them. They don't do that. So when little Miss Gina came into our lives and she was a chewer, holy moly, I did not know what to do. And she taught us very quickly to pick up our stuff, because if you don't pick it up, it's fair game as far as she's concerned. And she'll hide stuff. Do you know how many of those pink diamond painting pens that come in the kit I have had to retrieve out of her mouth? She chews the bejesus out of them and thinks she's smart, and I have to go, no, don't do that. Oh, it's a whole thing. So yeah, so she's training us really well to pick up after ourselves. So that's all good. And then Ginger, she's Chihuahua, and we think Jack Russell might be Chihuahua and Italian Greyhound, but I think probably Jack Russell. She has determined that she's in charge of security. She takes her role very seriously. She's the loudest barker in the house. So when you hear her go, and she will continue to do it for hours. I mean, really, if you don't stop her, she will literally continue for hours. So she's in charge of security. Then there's my little Griffin. He is a piece of work. You guys saw pictures of him the other day. I started a video out with him. He had, let's say, a less than optimal beginning. He he and his mother and sister were all taken to the shelter. Apparently the family of origin, who were breeding them over and over and over, which is another problem, ended up losing their housing. When they got new housing, they couldn't take the dogs with them. So they took the ones they had left that they didn't sell, which was Mom and sister and Griffin, who was not Griffin then, he was somebody else, to the shelter. Then they put them up for adoption separately. And of course, the girls got adopted first. Griffin, meantime, he was adopted out. They brought him back the next day for quote-unquote aggression. And at this point, he was 4 pounds, 2 ounces. I don't know what level of aggression he must have showed, but they decided, nope, not dealing with it. Okay. Then he was adopted out again, and to a home that had children and other animals. He lasted less than a day there. They brought him back and they went, yeah, no. Trying to bite our other animals and our kids, so no. So that's 3 times he'd been taken to the shelter. So by the time we rolled around, he looked at us like, really? Are you just going to bring me back too? Like, do I really even bother? So, and you know, we considered it because, boy, once we realized we were bringing home Cujo in a Chihuahua suit, we seriously considered doing it, but, you know, taking him back. But I thought about it and I said, you know, the problem is that's all he knows is being taken back. If we take him back, they'll just adopt him out to the next one, and they'll keep doing that for $125 a piece to as many people as want to give him the money until he's so damaged that they will have to euthanize him because he won't be adoptable. I don't think that's going to help the situation, and it for sure is not going to help him. Now, did that mean I wanted to put up with his psychosis? No. I said, well, okay. And he he absolutely does not get along with my husband. Not that my husband doesn't try. He tries really hard. But Griffin, I think whoever did most of the torment to him was male, because he is unforgiving of males of any kind. He's learned that he can trust some women, but he absolutely does not give males the time of day. He learned to like Jared because Jared brings treats with him every time he comes near him. And my husband feeds him even, you know, gets the food out of the can and feeds them the wet food. And still, he does not give him the time of day. So I don't know what happened to him, but it was pretty bad. So that's how we ended up getting in contact with the animal behaviorist. So she works with him every other week and gives us homework to do with him, which is no end of fun. I'm like, really? At this age, I'm still getting homework? Come on. And now for this animal who, you know, we have to pay her. Yeah, he's about worth probably $200 a pound right now. But he's made some strides. I mean, he has decided that some human females are okay, which he did not feel when I got him. He couldn't stand anybody. He faked us out during the meet and greet. Made us think he was this sweet little loving thing. And boy, we got home and wow, I'm not kidding you, Cujo arose. It was really something. So that was intense. So now he works with the animal behaviorists. She's due out again tomorrow. She said, is it okay if I be his godmother? I'm like, yes, boy, is it okay. I'm so glad, because it's another thing I had to worry about if something happens to us. Who's going to take this furious Chihuahua who's mad all the time? I wasn't sure who. So, boy, was I happy when she said she would do it, because I'm like, man, yes, please. And, you know, she's an animal behaviorist, specifically dogs. And she is kind of funny because she has 5 dogs right now. Which is, again, funny. It's just she and her husband. They're elderly, and she's uber smart. She's a PhD. She is doctor, so and so, yeah, it's interesting. And I thought, I don't know how this is going to work, but she's been working with him because, he's been here a year. She's been working with him probably 10 or 11 of those months. And he has made some changes for the absolute better. But, she's all about being realistic too. She's like, this animal was 4 years old when you got him. He's 5 now. He's had some pretty unfortunate life experience, and he's made some decisions in his mind about people and, whether or not they're useful at all. And so just know, some of that I'm hoping that we can change, and that we can teach him to think first and react second, instead of just being reactive all the time, because that's what makes him dangerous. So yeah. So maybe if we can do that and teach him that, if he can take a minute and realize that not everybody is detrimental to his life, then, he has a prayer. Because I said, this animal can never go to a dog park. Rarely do I ever take him out. When I do take him out with me to go wherever I have to go, on his leash are 2 what they call leash sleeves. One says caution and the other one says need space. Because anybody with little dogs knows, first thing that happens when you go out is people want to pet them. Yeah, no, he's a liability. I can't let you pet him because you might not bring back all your fingers. So, and he, at some point, and I don't know if it was because of the aggression, but our vet, when he first gave him a once-over after we had adopted him, he said, "Do you any idea what happened to his teeth?" And I said, "What do you mean what happened to his teeth?" And he said, "Well, there are several of them missing." And we just kind of looked at each other and we were like, well, no, because we didn't know they were missing, because we don't get that close to his mouth because we don't want to be, bloody. And he goes, yeah, he's got several missing on both sides. So I suspect it probably wasn't something that happened organically. I said, are you trying to tell me that somebody had this animal's teeth removed? And he said, yeah, I think so. And I was like, So he's like, yeah. He said, he has plenty. Like he can eat. He's got his incisors. He's got his canines. Like all of those are there. But, yeah, you just need to know that, there's several missing, and that he might eat something and it might fall out the side. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous. Well, that does happen occasionally, you guys. It's very sad to see, but it does. But yeah, it doesn't affect the fact that he still thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. He definitely has small dog syndrome. But he's cute. He's adorable. And again, he was supposed to be the ESA for my son, the emotional support animal. And yeah, no, that didn't happen, which is okay because that's how we got Gina. But no, Griffin picked me whether I liked it or not and made me his person against my will. And so, yeah, it's all on me, but he is pretty cute and he knows it. When he wants to be adorable, oh my God, there's no stopping him. The world could be his oyster if he would just stop being such a little shit. Really, he could have anything in the world he wanted because he is cute. So anyway, that's not really here nor there, but that's how I ended up with 3 dogs. It was not the intention. We did not set out to do that, but well, here we are. So now each of us have a dog. Ginger, the oldest and the most militant of the group, is my husband's dog. She's been a daddy's girl since she got here in 2018. So yeah, that's for sure his dog. And Griffin assigned himself as my dog, whether I liked it or not. And Gina is 100% my son's dog. So, yeah. And yeah, they wreak havoc among the innocent most of the time, but they do make life interesting. So what can you say? You know, that's kind of nice that they are around. They keep each other company. Gina gets a little picked on because Ginger just, yeah, she's just not happy that there's 2 other dogs besides her. So that's a thing. But she's also the biggest dog in the house, even though she's also the youngest. So she doesn't get hurt or anything. But yeah, she definitely has to make peace with her siblings most of the time. So yeah, so like I said, see, there's a story. There's always a story in how you end up with whatever animals you end up with. All right, so I have kept you guys an hour and a half, which is way longer than is appropriate. So thanks for joining me for the WIP and Chat. And do check out Paint Gems if you get a chance. They have some cool kits that are really fun, and their shipping is not too bad. Also, if you haven't checked out DP Along with Friends, there is a calendar of each month what the events are going to be. There is no event in December because it's a crazy time for everybody, but there is a calendar on Shenanigans with the Burgs, B-U-R-G-S, under her community tab. There's a list of each event each month. So for instance, February is going to be Love is in the Air. March is going to be Mermaids and Magic, and also there's going to be Richard at Real Men Craft 2 is hosting M&M event. April is going to be Diamond Crafts with Eileen hosting, and she's doing wings and things. May is going to be Crafty Chef Diamond because it's the 1-year anniversary, so that's going to be any canvas that shows celebration. And then June, sorry guys, I'm spacing out on June and July. I believe August, it's either August or November. Oh, okay. Let's see. I think it's August. It's either August or November. Diamond Painting with Jack is going to be doing the Hello Kitty event. Also on in October, it's going to be Sugar Skulls. So that'll be fun. September, I'm going to be hosting, and it will be a change of seasons. Any canvas that depicts a season. And so, yeah, but anyway, all of the events are listed, and all of the hosts' YouTube channels and how to reach them are also posted. So if you have any questions or you're interested, just let each of the hosts know, and we will be happy to include you in the events. All right, guys. I hope that all of you know how extraordinary you are. You are a miracle that you're even here. Seriously. So please make sure that you have a wonderful, wonderful week. And anybody who does not treat you like the extraordinary person you are does not deserve your time. Okay. All right, guys. That's a wrap, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.